Fala, Bills Mafia, Fernando Schmude com mais um Lead the Charge. Hoje eu vou estar falando sobre as batalhas por posições e o episódio de hoje, na sua grande maioria, em inglês, tá, gente? Então, vou estar falando em inglês aí sobre as batalhas por posições. Quem estiver acompanhando em português, seja bem-vindo, né? What's up, Bills Mafia? Fernando Schmude here with another Leading the Charge, and today the conversation is about positional battles, all right? The OTAs just started today. We've already had Sean McDermott talking about the players a little bit. We saw Josh Allen talking about and some few interviews talking about the positional battles and what's going on at One Bills Drive. So I'm here to focus on this roster, the people who are there practicing already, and trying to anticipate what we can expect about all this depth chart look at the Bills right now. And I'm gonna have with me here, I'm gonna share with you actually our lads depth chart, and I'm gonna use it in this exercise today to talk about what can we expect about the positions and the players and the main competitions for spots in the starting lineup and even in the roster in general. So with that said, let's go on. Let's move on and start talking about it. So I'm going to start with the offensive side of the ball, and that's the side where we have the most investment this offseason and a lot of new faces battling for roster spots and for playing time. So we're going to start focusing here. And I'm going to start with the wide receiver position. And Stephon Diggs isn't there practicing yet. And the conversation has been, we don't care about it. It's no problem. It's not mandatory. It's optional training camp during the OTAs at least. But let's be honest. I'd like to see my franchise wide receiver, my team captain, and one of the guys who were the most frustrated ones, or at least one of the guys who showed the most frustration after the loss to the Bengals, or even during that game. And when you finally have an opportunity to start preparing for next season, the guy isn't there. So I know it's not mandatory. I know he can take his time. He's a superstar. Von Miller talked about it today, and probably Josh Allen wouldn't miss a bit even with Diggs not being there. They have a connection. They can play well together. We already know that. But with that said, he's a team captain. He's a guy who was pretty vocal about wanting changes in the offense, wanting things going differently, and wanting more the ball. So if so, why not being there with the franchise quarterback and almost the entire offense is there? Why not start earlier and start practicing and having just Josh is doing right now. Sean McDermott said in an interview that Josh has stepped up and he has a bigger saying in the offense right now, and he's discussing things more frequently with Ken Dorsey and putting his stamp on that offense. If Diggs was so frustrated and wanted so badly things to be differently, I think it would be good to have him there, also already working out with his new teammates and his old quarterback and the offensive coordinator, and so contributing to have a more positive result on the offensive side of the ball. But he isn't there. Anyways, he's wide receiver one, no doubt. He's not going anywhere, and he's going to be a major part of what the Bills are going to do on offense. Wide receiver two is Gabe Davis, right? And I don't think it's changing anytime soon. I think the Bills were very confident. Brandon Beane always talked positively about Davis all of season long, and they are confident Gabe Davis can have a great season. Josh today in an interview said the same thing. He works hard. He's always there, working hard. The role he's being used as a deep threat isn't an easy one because it's not easy to grab all those deep passes, contested deep passes, to be able to hold them in and not drop those, especially when contested. So it helps having these kind of targets help him to not having an ideal catch percentage. Anyway, if he's trusted to that role, you really want to see him doing well and catching those balls more consistently. I think he starts these OTAs this off season as a wide receiver too, but he must do his job well because there are some names that can take away some snaps from him, and he's on his contract year, so he nobody's more interested than uh, Gabe Davis himself about having a great season and putting himself in a situation to earn a big payday next off season from the Bills or from any other team in this league. So Gabe will start ahead of the other guys, but we can't sleep on some guys, and I'm gonna bring the attention to them right now. First one, Deontay Hardy, who's in this Orla depth chart. I think it's pretty correct right now, pretty useful right now. I agree with most of these choices by your lads in their depth chart, in their preview depth chart so far, since the Bills haven't released any official depth chart at this point of the off season, obviously. But I think they've done a great job here. And the first guy who I'd like to mention is Deontay Hardy. That's a guy who the Bills wanted real bad. They really wanted Deontay Hardy. They went after him and they paid some money that most of people weren't expecting to see Deontay Hardy getting the kind of money that he got from the Bills. Um, that's a guy who, when healthy, he can play inside and out. I think he's an upgrade over McKenzie. Okay. And he can play outside too. People are like poaching him as a strictly as a slot wide receiver because of his size and the kind of player he is, shifty, quick, small. But that's a guy who had some snaps outside as a Saint too, and he has speed to burn. He can play the Gabe Davis role as a deep threat. He can play the Ted Ginn Jr. role. That guy played for the Panthers when Dorsey was there, when Shula was there, when McDermott was there. So I really believe Deontay Hardy can become a solid deep threat for the Bills, playing inside and out. And if Gabe Davis isn't playing well, Hardy can get some snaps from Davis for him. Another guy, Khalil Shakir, even in the last playoffs against the Dolphins, Shakir started the game having some snaps in place of Gabe Davis. So it says a lot about Shakir and a lot about Gabe Davis. He must come back stronger than ever for the season because the competition is real. We don't have DeAndre Hopkins yet. The conversation has started again about the possibility of adding DeAndre Hopkins after he again being vocal about wanting to play with Josh Allen and things like that. I'd love to add Hopkins, no doubt. But so far, the additions made aren't those big time names, but they are some names that can compete and can produce for sure. Deontay Hardy is a matter of being healthy, and he can be a really good slot receiver, quick, shifty, with speed. He can play outside, can be a deep threat. And Khalil Shakir is another guy who has some yards after catch capabilities. He can play outside, he can play inside. He has a better size than Hardy, and he's already in this offense for a year now. So we can't really bet on a fifth round pick becoming your wide receiver too and producing really well. But that's a guy who has some potential to if given the opportunity, and I believe he will get this opportunity, especially during preseason and these OTAs and training camp. If Davis isn't on the top of his game, Shakir can snag in some snaps from Davis and produce. So there are those two names are the two names that I keep an eye on when the real thing become when the pads are on those players and they start really competing. If Gabe Davis starts to underperform, Hardy and Shakir can start to get more opportunities, and they might be ready to take advantage of it. Another guy who's a lot of people is sleeping on and believing that he's a special teams only guy is Trent Sherfield. That's a guy who Josh Allen mentioned today and single out in the first interview from the first day of OTAs. Josh Allen already singled him out and saying, look, that's a guy who I love what I'm seeing from him, how hard he works. That's a guy who Dolphins fans love and uh, hated to see him leaving that team and especially joining the Bills. Okay, he was their slot receiver last year. He had a lot of opportunities behind Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and he took advantage of those opportunities. Played really well. That's a guy with speed, with size. He can play inside and out. So a very versatile guy who can really get an opportunity and take advantage of it. So this wide receiver position isn't top heavy when we look at talent and star power. We have Stephon Diggs, and that's it. Davis is still a question mark. We have some questions about him. But Hardy, Shakir, Sherfield, those guys can emerge as solid options, solid number three, even number two options, especially in an offense that throws the ball so much and and there are so many opportunities. So I believe in those guys being able to have a good competition and to step up, at least one of them to step up and become a huge factor in this offense. Then we have Justin Shorter, and I don't believe the rookie is going to be a factor in this competition right now. Okay, he has the size, he has the potential to play Gabe Davis' role, but I don't believe he's going to be so soon or this season. I think that's a guy who's going to be prepared to battle for this spot next year when maybe Davis leaves via free agency. Um, and right now, I don't see him becoming really a factor in this competition. I think Hardy, Shakir, and Sherfield are way ahead of him in terms of being prepared already. But Shorter has that raw potential and that size and speed, that combo that might make him impress the coaches and the fans during preseason and make him carve a role in this offense, especially if he can contribute on special teams early. I believe he's more on a competition with the bottom guys on this roster right now than the top tier guys in the roster. So from these rookies like Shorter and other undrafted guys, we have Patmon coming back from last season, but we've added Jalen Wayne, the nephew of the great Reggie Wayne, the great coach Jerry Wayne, Hall of Famer wide receiver, and especially Tyrell Shavers. That's a guy who has a lot of production playing special teams in college and a potential top-notch gunner. So with size, with speed, that's a guy who, if he can impress during preseason and those OTAs and mini camps, that's a guy who might be able to snag in maybe not a roster spot, but who knows? Okay, he has the potential to be a real nice gunner. So I'd like to mention him as a potential surprise pick in this group if he can really take advantage of his opportunities as a receiver. Also, I think Shorter must play well to avoid this kind of thing happening. Those undrafted guys surprising everybody and taking advantage of their opportunities and jumping ahead of Shorter in the pecking order. But that's the battle for Shorter right now, in my opinion, and not like with top tier guys in the roster. But we'll see. That's the way I see this wide receiver competition with Hardy and Shakir trying to take away some snaps from Gabe Davis, especially with a factor Dalton Kincaid in this competition, right? I don't see Dalton Kincaid taking Dawson Knox's job early. I think it's out of um, subject. I don't see this happening because Dawson Knox is so more complete and a better blocker, a better inline tight end, and he knows the offense. He's more experienced. So I think Dawson Knox doesn't need to worry about his job right now. But Dalton Kincaid, just like being said, the Bills are able to line up that 12 or 11, well, or 11 and a half personnel, considering Kincaid half a tight end, half a receiver. So Dalton Kincaid is going to factor, especially in the slot competition. All right. I believe he enters the season and as a slot number one, a big slot number one, with sharing some reps with maybe Deontay Hardy, since Hardy is the complete opposite of Kincaid, a small, shifty guy, and Kincaid that big target in the middle of the field. But I think Kincaid has and will have all the opportunities to hold down that slot position and the starting slot position, aka and alongside the tight end 2 spot. So the Bills will be able to line up that 12 personnel and show heavy formations to defense, and then split Kincaid wide, or even move him to slot and cause problems to the way defense is going to align and defend against those personnel. But with that said, I believe Hardy can share some snaps with Kincaid and also take some snaps away from Gabe Davis. Same thing about Khalil Shakir. So this battle is one to keep an eye on, especially if Davis shows he can't get past those drops problem. I think it's going to be huge for Gabe Davis. I think he's going to have all the opportunities to hold down that wide receiver 2 spot. But I think Hardy and Shakir are going to give a run for his money, since they have also Kincaid being a factor in the slot position. It's going to be fun to follow those battles for spots in this passing game, and I can't wait to see those wide receivers, those weapons, battling for snaps and for targets and things like that, becoming maybe creating a good repertoire with Josh Allen early on. It's going to be fun and interesting. In the backfield, we have the running back competition, and I think I really like the additions of Damian Harris. James Cook is probably having a season to prove himself as a capable running back one after showing flashes last season. I like Cook getting his shot. I think some people doubt his capabilities of becoming a true running back one. But we've seen in the past guys like Chris Johnson, Jamal Charles, smaller guys, shifty speed guys becoming running back ones. I think if needed, James Cook has potential to become it. The thing is the if needed part. I don't think nowadays it's needed to have a guy playing 20 running the ball like 25 30 times per game. It's unnecessary, especially when you have capable players in this backfield. Damian Harris is a capable guy, and I hope he can stay healthy, because when healthy, he's a really tough guy to bring down, a power back who complements so well James Cook. So I think Cook is gonna open these camps and the year as running back one, but he will need to be consistent, or he can lose some snaps to a guy like Damian Harris, who's a solid guy, especially to run between the tackles and to break tackles all the time, being that power back that Zach Moss was drafted to be and never became. I think Damian Harris has all the potential in the world to become this guy. And if James Cook can't show some consistency, I think Damian Harris can even become running back one. So he can't sleep on Damian Harris. I think he has more big play potential. He can be a major factor in the passing game also, and taking those checkdowns and transforming them on 20-yard gains and even more. So I really like the potential of James Cook in this offense. I think he can become a real number one. But the Bills have a solid number two in Harris, and I hope he can stay healthy. If he can't, uh, then we have Latavius Murray as a veteran number two option to Damian Harris, right, to the power back position. I think both were signed actually to kind of similar deals. Damian Harris was signed first, and Latavius Murray was signed after the draft. But and Murray, let me put it out here. Like Murray isn't in the OTA so far, so he's losing an opportunity to try to unseat Damian Harris or to impress the coaches and take Damian Harris' job. I don't believe he'll be able to do so if both are healthy, but if Damian Harris starts to struggle with his health, Murray is a capable power back. He has speed also despite his age, and he can be a nice complement to Cook the same way. I really struggle to see Naheem Hines getting more snaps on this offense because there are so many weapons, so many targets, so many guys eager for snaps and targets. And I believe Hines is going to continue to be the main returner, the kickoff returner, the punt returner. I don't see Deontay Hardy, despite Hardy having an all-pro season as a returner. He's a guy who had some fumbles as a returner, and we've seen McDermott not trusting guys who fumble at those positions as returner. We've seen McKenzie struggling to hold in that spot. We've seen other guys struggling, and we've seen a lot of Micah Hyde playing returner just to guarantee a fair catch and things like that. So I believe Naheem Hines is going to continue as a returner since he had success last season this way and was really impactful in this role. And he's going to be the backup to James Cook, because if we lose James Cook for some games, you have a guy like Hines to at least offer what Cook can offer in the passing game. So if you lose James Cook at some point, you can slide Damian Harris in as your running back one and have Naheem Hines as a really good third down back. So I believe that's the role for Hines. I don't see him having a lot of snaps or opportunities in this offense if everybody's healthy. But time will tell. This battle is going to be interesting. I think in these OTAs, but especially when the pads are on and during preseason, we're going to see a nice battle between Murray and Harris to hold down that number two power back spot. And then Hines trying to impress in his opportunities, but he's more like a backup option for Cook than a complement to him at this point, in my opinion. That's the way I see this battle for the running back spots. I already talked about wide receivers, tight ends. I think Knox is the number one guy, and Kincaid is this flex guy, no doubt about that. I don't see Quintin Morris being able to surprise people and keep Kincaid waiting on the wings. I think Morris had his opportunities last season. That's a solid prospect. I like him as a project, but I don't see him being able to compete for anything more than this number 3 spot. Quarterback, okay, Josh Allen is the franchise guy, no doubt, and we hope and we pray every day so he can stay healthy and play every snap all year long, and we don't need to worry about that. But Kyle Allen was added as a backup option for him, and I'm far from sold on Kyle Allen as a quarterback two with no battles for this position. I don't think Kyle Allen has done enough to being guaranteed this backup option, this backup spot, especially when he comes in and he doesn't know the offense. Matt Barkley has been there forever. He left, he came back, he knows the offense. He's an experienced guy. He had an opportunity to jump in some years ago when Josh was injured and to hold that spot for a little and jump in during games. I think Kyle Allen He's younger, he has a better arm, he's more athletic and maybe offers more potential, but I'm not sold on him of being the best guy to hold the fort for a few quarters if we miss Allen there for some time. I believe there's going to be a battle. I don't believe, even with this new rule, the Bills aren't opening or giving away a roster spot to keep three quarterbacks. I don't believe so. I think the Bills are going to keep two quarterbacks again and one in the practice squad. And I think preseason is going to be huge, so Kyle Allen can prove that he understands this offense, that he has learned it quick, and that he can be a better option than Matt Barkley. Otherwise, Matt Barkley has a real shot of becoming quarterback two, in my opinion. I think he can do that. I think last season we saw Barkley playing during preseason at the same level, of our previous backup quarterback. So I'm not sure if Kyle Allen can really be better than Barkley since he's in his first year with the Bills. We'll see. Anyway, I don't think any of them can really keep the Bills on track if we miss Josh for an extended period. So better hope that Josh stays healthy all season long. And then offensive line, right? Reggie Gideon isn't going nowhere at fullback position. But offensive line, we have some fun battles, especially in the interior. Unfortunately, we lack some battles at the tackle positions. Okay, I would be more comfortable if we've added a rookie, at least in the mid rounds, to be a plan B to Spencer Brown, just like the Bills did with Terrell Bernard in the middle linebacker spot. Bernard was drafted last season in third round, and he was supposed to be learning for a year and to be ready now to take advantage and of Edmunds leaving and becoming the middle linebacker. But the Bills doubled this choice, drafting Williams this season, and he's already been prepared as a plan B maybe, or even he can unseat Bernard early. So I'd like to have seen that happening with Spencer Brown and maybe adding a tackle early or middle round, so we could have a guy with more potential learning behind Spencer Brown, behind Dion Dawkins, and being an option there. Maybe Tommy Doyle becomes this guy after being here some years, 3 years now, learning, but we haven't seen much from him. He's a late round guy. He's athletic, but who knows? Maybe the coaching staff knows better than us. Obviously, we hope so, right? But to go to the season, just bringing back David Kissenberry, who was unimpressive when he had an opportunity last season, and going with Dawkins and Spencer Brown as unquestioned starters, especially Spencer Brown. It's tough, it's rough, but I'm still a Spencer Brown believer. I think the guy is a monster athletically. He plays with some edge. He's nasty. He likes to put people on the ground, especially when running the ball. And he has the athletic ability to be a good right tackle. He really never had an NFL off-season program since it's his third year now, and he struggled with his back last off-season, had a surgery, and it really killed his off-season preparation. So I'm curious to see how he shows up this off-season and how he plays during preseason, because we need him playing really well. We need him stepping up and becoming this rock at the right tackle position. Kissenberry isn't the answer there. We've seen there. And maybe Tommy Doyle can impress and become a factor and an option if we need him. That's our hope. Otherwise, we'll be in need of Ryan Bates being able to slide to the tackle position and do a good job. Remembering Bates is a solid guy, a good guy. I really don't believe he's gonna lose his guard spot so easily, but he lacks the size to be an ideal tackle, right? So that's the problem with Bates. I'm not sure if he wouldn't be able to do a better job than Spencer Brown right now, since he's a technician guy. He has already some experience, but Brown definitely has the biggest potential, and I believe he can become a solid right tackle, real good right tackle. We hope so, and we need him to do so because no competition there. Inside, we have a lot of competition. And Osiris Torrance, I've been on record saying I don't believe Torrance is gonna be riding the bench for long. That's a mauler guy. That's a big guy. That's a guy who brings some nastiness and some power to this interior, and I think we lack this in this offensive line. So I believe Osiris Torrance will be able to be a starter sooner rather than later, and at right guard, his preferred position. It might slide Ryan Bates to the left guard spot, and I can't affirm that McGovern is a better option than Ryan Bates. Bates has played well for us, especially when he played left guard 2 years ago. So McGovern is gonna need to prove himself. Even if you look at the cap hit, Bates has a bigger cap hit than McGovern. So those are young guys who can still start for 5-6 years for the Bills, even more. So there's gonna be competition, and I'm curious to see McGovern, Bates, and even David Edwards, a guy who's a Cromer favorite and won a Super Bowl with that guy. Struggle with some concussions, but he hasn't been really injured like a knee or something like that we see players being slowed down because of those injuries. It's not the case. We've seen with Morse, he's out with some concussions sometimes, but he always come back and plays well. So Edwards can do that this year, and he can be a factor in this competition. So I'm curious to see the rookie Bates, McGovern, and Edwards fighting for those spots, and that gives me confidence that we'll be able to have a high level of play out of the top two choices, because just like McDermott always says, right, iron sharpens iron. So the competition here is gonna make the top two guys race to the top and become real good options at the guard positions. That's my expectation. Inside, Morse is a rock at center position. I think he's our best offensive lineman and probably not going anywhere. I'd say probably because of the cap hit and the savings of releasing Mitch Morse or trading him. And maybe if you have a high level competition and they feel like, okay, we have our offensive line of the future with Bates, McGovern, Edwards, or Osiris Torrance playing really well inside, let's go with those guys, and they're going to be our inside offensive linemen for the next 5-6 years. Maybe it's a possibility to trade Mitch Morse and get something valuable from him. I need to put it out there, but I don't believe we can really move on without Morse, at least not yet. I think he's very important with his experience inside, and I don't see him going anywhere. And then Nick Brocker, a nice rookie addition who reminds me Bates when he came in, because he's so versatile and he can play inside and out, and so that's a nice project for Cromer to work with. I don't put a lot of confidence in Ike Boltiger at this point. I think he's being there as a floor kind of guy. The bare minimum that they could have from a guard was what Butker could offer, and now I think the level of the competition has been risen and over Butker levels of play, but we'll see. Really curious about this competition inside, and hopeful that this offensive line can play better this year, better than last year. It was for sure a group that was a little bit depressing to watch, especially with Roger Saffold having a season to forget. And those are the battles I can see happening in this offensive side of the ball. Feel free to comment and to add your opinion. I'm curious to see your opinion and see if you agree, disagree, or if I'm sleeping on other guys. Let me know. Let me move to the defense, but I just want to ask you to hit that like button and subscribe to Buffalo Rumblings channel. Don't forget to hit the like button and help me to keep going with my leading the chart in English and in Portuguese, also to Bills Mafia in Latin America, in Brazil, in Portuguese-speaking countries. So help me out hitting that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to Buffalo Rumblings channel, and I really appreciate your help and your support. Let me drink a little bit of water and continue with the defense side of the ball. So the other side of the ball, we don't have so many additions, but there are a lot of competitions, important ones, right? Starting the defensive line rotation. Outside, Von Miller today said that he's going to be back no later than week 6. Okay, and he started in week 1, but he doesn't believe he'll be out for longer than week 6. And anyways, no matter with Von or without him, we need somebody stepping up. Okay, Greg Rousseau has grown. I think in a good way during his 2 seasons. He's been an elite run defender and a solid pass rusher. And he had an ankle problem that slowed him down last season, but with him back healthy, I think it's fair to expect a more dominant season as a pass rusher, opposite to Miller, especially, or moving inside on obvious passing situations. I think it's fair to expect it from Groot. And then we have AJ Peneza and Boogie Basham, who need to play better and to be able to unseat a guy like Shaq Lawson. Shaq Lawson has been that guy, that dependable guy who you can trust to give you solid play, sailing the edge and giving really good run defending snaps and a mother that never stops when rushing the passer, a guy who's always trying hard. But that's it. He never became the dominant pass rusher that everybody expected out of Clemson. So Boogie Basham and Jay Peneza, one of them or both of them, they must be able to play ahead of Shaq Lawson to show some improvement and to become more than these rotational guys who only see the field here and there as on obvious passing situation. I think Epenesa is in a contract year, and he looked good in the embedded film or movie, the episode that had John Dawkins and Kyrie Elam showing a little bit of their off-season life in Miami. And so AJ Peneza looked in a good shape, maybe ready to finally become more than a situational pass rusher. And we'll see. Time will tell. But I hope one of them can do that, because we need more guys being able to step up. I think their lack of productivity was a major factor against the Bengals, something that people aren't talking enough about, how the Bills couldn't take advantage of the backup offensive lineman playing for the Bengals on that game, and how the Chiefs killed the Bengals in the next week just because they could take advantage of the flaws that the Bills couldn't. And it was a big part of that was an underperforming situation of Epenesa, Basham, and Rousseau in that game. And also inside with Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones wasn't playing and was missed hugely. So I really believe Boogie Basham, Epenesa, they gotta be able to step up and beat Shaq Lawson. We'll have some guys like Kingsley Jonathan and Shane Ray, former first-round pick from the Denver Broncos, trying to surprise people, to impress the coaches, to surpass Epenesa, Basham in the pecking order, even Lawson. But my focus is on the former 2 second-rounders. They got to step up, and the Bills need it. Okay, the Bills need it, or otherwise the Bills will need to sign a veteran like Justin Houston or Melvin Ingram, somebody to become this force as a third pass rusher, especially when Miller is back. So looking forward to those players competing. And in the inside, defensive line in the defensive tackle rotation, I think Daquan Jones has become a stone in the middle of this defense. But Ed Oliver, contract year, he must play well this season, and maybe we can see him being moved around with McDermott trying different fronts, especially on passing downs, and Puna Ford getting a role, stepping up and play early downs alongside Daquan Jones. I want to see if that's a possibility during preseason, because especially without Tremaine Edmonds, and if we're going to play Terrell Bernard or Dorian Williams, especially Tyrell Dodson is a little bit bigger, but if we're going to play one of those quicker, smaller guys, maybe playing Puna Ford and Daquan Jones is a real option inside. So curious to see this battle. Curious to see Tim Settle if he's able to finally play better, and especially curious to see if Jordan Phillips is healthy again. Because when healthy, I really believe Jordan Phillips can offer you what Oliver has offered: flashes of dominance, but at a bigger size. So I really like Jordan Phillips, and I hope he can be healthy again and play at his best and become a solid piece in the interior. We have plenty of names to keep him healthy all season long, and that's interesting. And I really curious to watch also is DJ Dale out of Alabama, undrafted free agent guy, can play this role of nose tackle and do the dirty job. So curious to see this rookie performing too. In the secondary, glad that we have Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde back. I think Kyrie Elam is going to have a huge season, and I'm looking forward to seeing Kyrie in the second year, especially after the good performance during playoffs, especially against the Dolphins. But I wouldn't write off Christian Benford. That's a rookie who played a lot of games early on last season and then got injured. But now, after a good off season, and it's pretty clear that the coaching staff loves the guy, right? He can be prepared to be a safety, but he's playing corner for now. That's what was said in today's interviews, OTAs day one. So I wouldn't write him off. Okay, Dan Jackson, I think he's more like kind of AJ Klein right now, like a floor guy, a guy who can come in and contribute. But they have in Elam and Benford two second-year players with more potential, and I think that's the battle in the cornerback spot. I believe Kyrie Elam is ready to run away with this job, but Benford was surprising last year, so we'll see. Enter Davis White is coming back from his injury. He's being removed from that ACL like for 1 year now, and almost a year now, and I believe he'll be able to play well again. And even last year when he played, I didn't see what most people were talking about, like, oh, he isn't the same anymore. I don't know. I think he looked good for me. I never saw him before the injury as the Darrell Reeves kind of guy who simply take players out of the game. I believe he's played really, really well in the system, and he has some his athleticism, obviously, but he's never been that shutdown corner. He's a really good one, smart one. They can tackle well, can take advantage of some opportunities, smart, but not that shut down Darrell Reeves or even Stephon Gilmore in his prime kind of corner. So I like what I've seen from Trey after the injury, and I believe he's going to be even better this year. Poyer and Hyde, we know the experience they bring and the communication, the playmaking skills that they can offer. And the battle here actually is for depth, because Damar Hamlin is trying to make a comeback, and it's a tough one. And I'm not really comfortable carrying Hamlin at this point in the roster, because you have other guys like Taylor Rapp who can come in and play and at starting level, maybe not a Poyer Hyde level, but at a starting level. And Dean Marlowe knows the defense. Then Jared Maiden is a prospect. Zane Anderson, the experienced special teams guy with some athleticism. And so we'll see if Damar Hamlin can really recover and play well during preseason, and he's taking his time to make his comeback, and it's totally fair. But I'm comfortable with this secondary, and the battle's gonna be fun here. I think, especially watching Elan and Benford battle for the cornerback 2 spot. I think just like Gabe Davis with the wide receiver 2, I think Elan is ahead in the pecking order, and that's his job to lose. And then Taron Johnson is the unquestioned nickel cornerback. But Taylor Happ can become an option as a backup for Taron Johnson instead of Tyron Neal. He has some experience doing so for the Rams. So Taylor Rapp can become the main backup nickel cornerback. And then the linebacker position. I think the biggest battle for these OTAs and mini camps and preseason is the middle linebacker spot. Matt Milano hasn't been there practicing in day one of OTAs, and being mentioned Dodson a lot during this offseason about Dodson knowing the defense. And even when Matt Perino was with me here in the leading the chart, he was talking about how Dodson stayed in Buffalo all season preparing for the season. So the guy really saw an opportunity and did his best to try to hold down that spot. I don't believe he'll be able to. I've been very high on Terrell Bernard. I really liked him as a prospect when he was drafted. I really liked it. I really like his potential as a playmaker in the middle of the defense. He's quick, he's fast. I really see him as a guy who can play Matt Milano kind of football. But with that said, his playing time last season wasn't the best tape ever, right? There is a reason a lot of fans were writing off Terrell Bernard, and that's because he struggled against the Jets, and then you add his size and all the questions about his capabilities of playing middle linebacker. I think he's smart enough, and he's a big-time kind of leader of the defense kind of guy. He was this kind of guy for Baylor. I think he can become it for the Bills. But with that said, maybe McDermott and the coaching staff, maybe they haven't seen the development for Terrell Bernard during last season that they'd like to have seen. Okay, maybe it happened. Maybe they haven't seen enough for Terrell Bernard to be comfortable to simply inserting him as the middle linebacker in Edmonds' place and moving on. And so only people who are inside the building are really aware about how much Bernard was able to convince the coaching staff that he deserves this shot. I believe he'll get his shot, but Brandon Beane was like, look, Dorian Williams is gonna prepare to be Matt Milano backup. He's not gonna play early this year. He's gonna contribute on special teams, and that's it. And it really sounded bad. And then he felt the heat, and the conversation completely changed. And now, instead of learning the Matt Milano spot, just like Terrell Bernard did last season, Dorian Williams, according to McDermott today, started the OTAs learning the Mike linebacker position. So they are probably trying to speed up things and to make Dorian Williams to learn this Mike linebacker spot as quick as possible to be ready to play and to be ready to be a factor in the Mike linebacker competition, something that I wasn't expecting when he was drafted. I saw him as a plan B if this competition between Bernard, Dodson, even Spector really doesn't work out, and none of them can hold that spot. But with the actions being done with Dorian Williams, learning the Mike linebacker's position, speeding up the process with him, it might be possible that they are trusting their vets like Milano and then Hayden Poyer, all those guys surrounding Dorian Williams, and they might throw the rookie out there as the starter, as the Mike linebacker starter, and trusting that the communication can be good with Milano, Hyde, Poyer, all those veterans around him. And it's fair to think that's a possibility, because if they feel Dorian Williams is the best playmaker, especially stopping the run and tackling and things like that, they can feel totally comfortable taking him away from the field, taking him off the field on passing downs and playing Tyler Rapp. Okay, Taylor Rapp can play nickel linebacker. He did that for the Rams. So on passing downs, third downs, second and long, they can feel comfortable taking Dorian out of the field, putting Taylor Rapp in, and playing elite pass defense with an experienced guy in Taylor Rapp playing this role as a nickel linebacker. So, and Dorian can learn on the job, on the fly, just like Milano did when he was a rookie. When Milano was a rookie, he started as a backup and shared the field with a veteran, right? I forgot his name now. Raymond Humber, right? Raymond Humber was a linebacker, a veteran linebacker who shared the field with Matt Milano. And as the season progressed, Milano started to get more opportunities, and Humber's snaps was started to decrease. We can see it happening if Dorian Williams really surpasses Bernard early and wins the job. We can see it happening with Dorian playing run downs and Rapp playing passing downs, and this committee at the linebacker position alongside Milano. I'm curious. I want to see Bernard playing, getting his shot, and time will tell. I really like Bernard as a prospect, as a player. I really like Dorian Williams, and I like Tyrell Dodson too. I think Tyrell Dodson can do a good job. I just think the potential is way higher with Bernard and Dorian Williams. So I hope one of them can win this job and do really well as the Mike linebacker. I think Bernard is ahead of Dorian right now. He has 1 year learning this defense. I think he might be able to become this kind of leader of the defense, captain kind of guy. But if the coaching staff is speeding up the process with Dorian Williams, maybe Bernard simply hasn't showed enough to earn their trust on that. Time will tell, and we'll see. But that's a huge competition that I'm keeping an eye on during this offseason. Guys, special teams, there is an opportunity for a competition between Hines and Deontay Hardy for a return spot. But as I said before, Hines is more secure, and Hardy is explosive but has some issues with fumbles. So I don't see him getting the job from Hines, and especially if he has a big hole in this offense as a slot guy, especially, or deep threat. And so that's going to be interesting. Sam Martin, Tyler Bass and Reed Ferguson are locks at their spots, no competition. So that's it. Those are the competitions that I'm looking forward during these OTAs and preseason. Let me know, what do you know? If you agree, disagree with this this overview that I showed today, and comment. If you are watching in another time, comment in the YouTube comment section, so we can discuss and interact and share some thoughts about these competitions. Guys, I really appreciate your time. That's it for the Leading the Charge today. I will be back on Sunday in Portuguese, especially for Latin America, Brazil, and Portuguese-speaking countries. But next week, another Leading the Charge in English too. So appreciate the time you took to spend with me here, and see you next week. On Tuesdays and Sundays via Buffer Rumbling, Leading the Charge every Tuesday at 5 p.m. East, every Sunday at 8 p.m. East. So thank you so much, and see you on Sunday. Bills Mafia. Go Bills.